Thank you for listening to the Luminous Recovery Yoga Podcast, hosted by Kari. The views and opinions expressed here are strictly those of the person who gave them. Take what you like and leave the rest. These views and opinions do not represent any specific 12-step program, only my experience, strength, and hope in recovering from the dis-ease of addiction and codependency. If you'd like to learn more, please visit my website at www.luminousrecoveryyoga.com. Hey, this is Kari. Thanks for joining me for the Luminous Recovery Yoga Podcast. I'm so happy that you are taking the time to just sit and listen today, and at the end we'll do a little bit of yoga together too. Every episode includes just a little bit of yoga so that we can embody the topic of the podcast. Good to be with you. I really appreciate this space to share and just to, be in community with other people, even if it's via an audio podcast. Just the opportunity to share my recovery and really where I'm at. I find that when I share, sometimes it shuts down the gremlins in my head, like the things that I say to myself or those kind of loops or obsessions that just tend to work in cycles in my mind. Last week, I shared some information that I just don't really share with people. You can almost say that it's something that I hide, and it felt so good. It just felt so good to share it, and it felt really good to be honest. So this space really, if anything, is a space to practice honesty, because just like any other thing that we do that we want to make repetitious in our life, it requires practice. And sometimes we practice good things and sometimes we're practicing harmful things. So for me, sharing and honesty are a practice. It's something that I have to just constantly do and continually bring myself back to in order to feel grounded in those practices. So with that being said, the topic for today is easy does it. Easy does it. Easy does it is a slogan that you might hear in recovery rooms of AA, Al-Anon. It's a pretty popular slogan. And, honestly, it could feel corny. Like sometimes the slogans, especially when you're new to recovery, they could seem corny or trite or just too simple. And I really get that. I understand that feeling of something feeling corny, but the reality is the slogans work. At least they work for me. And the reason they work is because when my mind is spinning or I'm in a moment where shit is just kind of wild, I'm not usually in my body and in my mind in a way that I could take in complex information. So I find that slogans are simple, and they're simple because generally, in a pinch when I need to use that slogan, I'm not really capable of much more. So the slogans are simple on purpose. They're simple because when we're in moments of crisis, sometimes we just need a little bit of a few words to distract us or to shift what's happening. So easy does it is something that I really appreciate. I appreciate the opportunity to consider what life is like when there is ease. For me, the full slogan, like if I were to really consider how this works for me, the full slogan would be, if hard doesn't do it, easy does it. If hard doesn't do it, easy does it. And I say that because really oftentimes I start with hard. I go hard first. I go in head first. And when I go in head and hard first, oftentimes I get defeated right away. Oftentimes, I try the hardest thing first. And when I have a meltdown or it just, like I went too hard too quick, then I have to live with myself and I have to sit with like, why does it always go this way? Or why does it always feel so hard? And generally things are hard because I make them that way. I make them hard. And so in my recovery, one of the things that I have discovered is that if hard doesn't do it, then easy does it. And I can try easy. I don't have to try hard all the time. I don't have to make things the hardest all the time. And I almost correlate things being hard with things being worthy. If it's hard, then somehow I've really proved myself, and therefore it's more worthy of my time, my energy, or whatever, that because I had to work so hard for it, that somehow it's got more merit in my life. And while there are things that I've had to work really hard for, just because it was a challenge doesn't mean I have to make it harder. There's a difference between something being challenging and something being hard. And I think that we could find ease within challenges. One of the things that I've really discovered for myself about easy does it, or the concept of ease, is that for me, God is in the easy. Higher power is in the easy. When things are easy, I tend to feel like there's an element of flow. Like I didn't have to go upstream to get this thing. It sort of, it came to me. And I find that when things come to me or there is ease available, that it's because I wasn't swimming upstream. I wasn't trying so hard. Because hard doesn't always mean that it's better. Hard just means hard. So for me, God is in the easy. When something happens naturally or there's that sense of flow, like it unfolded or it opened or was revealed to me, that there's just more higher power available to me. For instance, wanting to start a new business, a new yoga studio with myself, I had no idea how that was going to get done. I had no idea what my resources could be or how I could get all of that done. How could I find a new place? How could I possibly do this hard thing? And it wasn't hard at all. It revealed itself to me. It came to me. When I made space for it, things opened up. So I often find that when I go hard, it's because I'm trying to force a solution or I'm trying to make something happen. And sometimes when I'm trying to make something happen, it feels hard because it's not time. Or it feels hard because it's not what's meant to be right now. So I'm fighting and I'm trying to get that thing to happen. And there's a lot of efforting, a lot of rigor. And rigor doesn't always mean better. I mean, maybe, but not always. And so I find that when I invite ease into my life, what I'm inviting in is my higher power. I'm inviting in the possibility that I don't have all the answers, that I don't know everything that needs to be done. I don't know how it's going to get done. I just know that when I leave space, that sometimes things work themselves out when I'm not fighting to swim upstream. I tend to think of easy does it as like me, my vision is me floating on a tube with a sun hat on and sunglasses, just floating down the river, you know, just like letting myself float and flow and not trying to make things more challenging than it needs to be, harder than it needs to be. Again, I think life is always going to have challenge, but we can add onto that. We could pack it in and make it hard. And so part of what I've learned is that I don't have to go the hardest route. I could choose easy. Easy could be a choice. I could decide that things can come to me. I can wait. And when I have patience, when I have the ability to not force a solution and to really see, there's that saying, don't just do something, sit there. When I have the ability to just sit there and let life unfold, then oftentimes I'm in the easy. And I'm not trying to be passive about this. I'm not saying sit there and do nothing and wait for good things to happen to you. I think that there's definitely footwork. You know, we have to show up for the appointment. We have to get ourselves to the thing, right? But then there's a certain level of letting the moment greet me. It's just not always me having to force myself in head first. It just doesn't work that way, at least not for me. So easy does it. And I was really in reflection about this before filming this today. And I was thinking about the type of yoga that I have basically, I was previously doing for the last 7 years, which was hot power yoga. And I was like a real hot power yoga junkie. Like, you could not convince me that there was any other way, that there was any other type of yoga that was honestly worth merit. Like, that's just where I was at the time. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that's what was happening for me. So hot power yoga was like the way, the truth, and my life. Like, this is the way it has to be. And one of the things I used to say about doing hot power yoga, which is something I had, even heard in a training that I went to once, is that we create the storm so that we can find our calm. And that was something that I really subscribed to. Like, I really believed that I needed to create storms so that I could find the calm. And at that time, that may have very well been true. And it was really a part of that time and what I needed at that time. I needed to create storms so that I could find my calm. And that was hard, right? Like, the I don't know, the nature of hot power yoga is that it's hard. It's hard. Because power yoga in itself is challenging. There's a certain pace and rigor to power yoga. And then when you add, 90 to 100 degrees to the room, you're talking about an additional barrier, obstacle, just challenge. And at that time, I needed that rigor. It was there for me when I needed it. I needed to create storms so that I could find my calm. And what occurred to me today is that I no longer need to create storms to find my calm. That calm is really the goal. It's really, calm and ease. That's really what I want for my life. I don't want the drama anymore. I don't need to produce storms in order to find calm. And in no way do I want to diss hot power yoga. Honestly, it's still a lot of fun. I still very much enjoy that. And it's still something that people need. And I'm not trying to discredit that route. It was my route for a long time. But as I began to change, and as my life and my body and, the world around me began to change, I realized that life was actually hard enough and I didn't need to add in more rigor. What I really needed was to add in ease. It is not the challenge for me to be rigorous. Rigor is almost my natural inclination to find the hard thing and to navigate my way through the hard thing. That comes easy to me. So the real challenge for me is to find easy. The real challenge for me is to channel in calm and ease. And I just find that where I'm at in my life now, I don't need to produce challenging situations so that I can find my way through them. It's just much nicer at this time in my life to let things just be easy for the sake of it, just because it feels nice. And because I know that I could always produce more rigor. Rigor is just not hard for me to produce. I could really get that. So where I'm at in my life is that, my yoga practice being a reflection of kind of who and where I am in my life. At least that's what I believe. For myself, I believe that what happens on my mat is really a metaphor for how I live my life. And where I'm at now is that, yoga can be something completely different. Now I'm finding that I actually enjoy getting my exercise more from walking, from doing some brisk walking around my neighborhood. And there's a beautiful trail here in Portland, really close to where I live. And I love going on that trail and walking and just being with myself. And then I love doing yoga to relax. And that is just so different. That is so different for me than when I started. When I started, I was doing yoga to produce rigor. And I wanted that rigor. And that rigor was very valuable to me. And now what I really want is ease. And I want to relax. And that feels really nice. It feels nice to change. It feels nice to be able to let in the energy of doing something different. And that what's different is that I don't need life to be so hard all the time. And in fact, my new goal for myself is to create easy. The The easier something is for me, the more that's my route, the more that's my path. And again, I'm not saying I'm not willing to show up and do my side of the work and to do the footwork. I think the footwork is imperative, but the footwork doesn't have to be hard. I mean, there could be steps to it, there could be actions, but it doesn't have to be hard. And I'm still really just like learning that. And so now when things feel hard, when I see like there are too many obstacles that make it seem like, oh, this is hard. I just don't want hard. That just means it's not for me at this time. So that's what's on my mind today. I want to share a reading. This is an Al-Anon daily reader that I really like. It's called One Day at a Time in Al-Anon. This book was written in the 1960s, so sometimes the language feels a little outdated, but I'm able to look past that in order to see what the spirit and energy of the lesson is. So I want to share this. This was actually today's reading, August 25th. Today being tomorrow when you're listening to this, because I filmed this one day earlier than I release it. So here's what it says. August 25th. Have I ever accomplished anything good while my emotions were churning with hysteria? Am I aware that reacting on impulse, saying the first thing that pops into my head, defeats my own purposes? I couldn't lose by stopping to think. Easy does it. Wouldn't any crisis shrink to manageable size if I could wait a little while to figure out what is best to do? Unless I'm sure I'm pouring oil on troubled waters and not on a raging fire, it might be best to do and say nothing until things calm down. Easy does it. Today's reminder. It may take a bit of self-control to back away from conflict and confusion, but it's wonderful protection for my peace of mind. Unless I can say or do something to quell the storm, I'll only be inflicting punishment on myself. And each little battle I win within myself makes the next one easier. Take it easy, for easy does it. It will all seem much less important tomorrow. And isn't that true? That is something that I've learned. It will all seem so much less important tomorrow. And that's become one of the ways that I do easy does it, is if this is still important tomorrow, then I'll do it. Sometimes I get really impulsive. My thoughts can just become really like, no, this right now. And whenever I feel that impulse, easy does it. If this is still important tomorrow, let's investigate it tomorrow. That's a strategy that I use to quell some of the right now, that it has to happen right now. That could just really be so hard. When I get an idea and I have to act on it right now, that generally produces hard. So for me, waiting 24 hours or just waiting in general, letting things unfold, that is just such new behavior for me. That is something that I did not have before recovery. And it's also something that yoga has really helped me with. I have found that if I can wait until I've practiced or done something for my body to clear my mind, I usually have easier results. If I'm aggravated or in some kind of activated state and I send a text or an email or I make some kind of jerky move, that generally produces hard. Like then there's some amend I have to make, or there's some thing I have to smooth out later because I was coming at it with my head. And what I've learned is that my practice of yoga, meditation, and even, walking or doing anything physical for myself to create space, to take a pause, to put some space between the stimulus and me. When I can take that time and do some of my practices, whatever practice I choose for that day, that generally I have more ability to produce. Easy does it. I hope that made sense. I hope that that you found something in this valuable and useful to you, because this is what's been on my mind today, that if hard doesn't do it, easy does it. So, if you're still somebody who likes to go hard, do it. And then if that doesn't work out, try easy. You know, what do you have to lose? If hard doesn't do it, then try easy. Maybe easy does it. So you have both options. And that's what I love about recovery, is that I've learned I have choices. No one's telling me I can't go hard. I could still go hard. But if hard doesn't work, I'll try easy. So that's what I've got for you today. Enough about me. Let's talk about you for a minute. Let's transition to our yoga practice. And when we practice our yoga, remember that this practice is guided by our breath. Breath comes first. So if the only thing that happens today is a little bit of breathing, then consider you've done exactly what needs to be done. All right, my friend, make your way to your mat. And if you don't have a mat, don't worry about it. Just find a little space right around you. Whatever works, wherever you can get the practice in is perfect. And we'll begin today on our back. So just lie down on the floor. And this will be just a short, gentle practice. We'll start in Supine Butterfly. Bring the soles of your feet to touch and allow your knees to just gently open to the sides. Place both hands on top of your belly and close your eyes. Just begin to connect with the gentle sound of your breath. Let your breath be easy. Don't try hard when it comes to breathing. Just try easy. Let the breath feel natural and comforting. Take a full body stretch. Lengthen your legs forward. Reach your arms over your head and stretch from fingers to toes. And pull your knees towards your chest. Put one hand on each knee and just make some gentle circles with your lower back into the floor. And when it feels natural, you'll change directions. Open your arms into a T. Drop your knees to the right. Turn your gaze to the left for a simple twist. And just let this twist feel easy and gentle. Don't try to twist hard. Try to twist easy. And then come back to center. Drop your knees to the left. Take your gaze to the right. Come back to center. Make your way up to a seat. Lengthen your legs in front of you and pull your booty out from underneath you. Reach your arms up over your head. Look at your fingers. Seated forward fold, bow forward. And you can catch your feet, your ankles, or your shins, wherever your hands land. And just gently bow your head. Keep it easy and gentle. Slowly sit up. Come to all fours to a tabletop position. Just take a few rounds of cat-cow. Lifting your chin and tipping your tailbone forward. And then round your upper back, tuck your chin to your chest. Just move your body and your breath in a way that feels natural and good to you. Easy. Easy does it. Come back to a neutral tabletop. Open your knees a little bit wider to the edges of your mat. Bring your big toes to touch behind you with the tops of your feet touching the floor. Sink back into child's pose. Booty to your heels, arms stretch forward. And if you can, rest your forehead on the floor. And take some easy breaths. Slowly shift back forward to a tabletop. Come back to your booty. We'll take an easy seat. Easy does it, easy seat. So just come to a seat with one foot in front of the other. You don't even have to cross your ankles. That could be a lot of pressure on the ankles. Just an easy seat. Sit up tall. Put your left hand on your right knee and your right fingertips behind you. Take a big breath in to first lengthen your spine. And then exhale, twist and look behind you over your right shoulder. Twist easy. One more big breath. And then come back to center. Put your right hand on your left knee. Bring your left fingertips behind you. First, take a big breath in. And slowly twist with your exhale. Look behind you over your left shoulder. One more big breath in. Stay for the breath out. And gently come back. Reach your arms up over your head. Look up at your fingers. And bring your palms to your knees. Just sit up tall here for a moment. Close your eyes if that's comfortable to you. And breathe gently. Breathe easy. In and out of the nose. And just notice how it feels to take it easy in this moment. Allow rigor and effort to just be in the background. Let that slide off your shoulders. And just for this moment, try easy. Take a big breath in and out. Bring your palms to touch at the center of your chest. And then bring your thumbs to touch at the center of your forehead. And gently bow your head towards your heart. In honor of each one of us and our practice, I bow to you, dear friend, and say namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Luminous Recovery Yoga Podcast. If you'd like to support the show, please consider joining my Patreon or leaving a comment and review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or YouTube.